Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Sing a song. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Sing a song before they burn it down.
So here's the Alan West version, Watchtower Firearms, a BDR-X. You can see it has the Steadfast and Loyal podcast logo on it. And on this side, you've got, my actual digitized signature and my Army Master Parachutist wings. And of course, you got to have the American flag. And again, this is such an incredibly light weapon. I just can't believe it. And I like the skeletized design. And this flash suppressor here is unique. They make it here at Watchtower, and it actually reduces the rise of the weapon when you fire it. So I'm just looking forward, and Magpul hard sights, and I think I'll keep hard sights on this, but I'm looking forward to taking it out here and shooting it and zeroing it in. And I love the skeletized hand grip here. And of course you got the extendable butt stop, and I prefer this forward hand grip, more than anything else. I really like this. So here it is, right up there next with Rob O'Neill. It's hard to believe that, but that's why America's such a great country. Where a kid born in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, can have an AR-15 designed by him and with his signature on it, limited edition. So check out their website, watchtowerfirearms.com. And if you want, you can purchase one of these. Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. When you read the Declaration of Independence, and, I just so happen to always carry the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution here with me. The Declaration of Independence is a list of grievances against King George III and what he was doing to us here and what would become these United States of America. And one of the list of grievances that he puts down here and is appropriate to where we are today, very relevant to where we are today. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Pretty interesting. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governance. But let's think about this. It has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. That's one of the things that Jefferson listed as a grievance against King George III and Mother England as a basis for why we had to break the bonds that we had, allow us to become these United States of America. When you look around in America today, how do we get to the point where all of a sudden all of these pre-dawn raids are happening? People sitting in their homes, in bed, maybe thinking about, what's going to happen the next day's activities. And all of a sudden banging. Federal agents, or in your own privately owned business, federal agents ATF, DEA, whomever, but mainly it's the ATF and the FBI that are out there, swarms of officers harassing our people. I mean, if you are a pro-life activist, that means you believe that the very first inalienable right that we have from the Creator God, natural rights theory, same as John Locke put forward, is life. And you believe that that inalienable right is for the most vulnerable among us, those who do not have a voice, those that are within the womb. And you want to be their voice? Nah. Not to the progressive socialist left, not to these Marxists. So, federal agents, and off you go. If you somehow are out there and you disagree with some of the premises of this administration, federal agents, how do we get to that point? Well, now we have Gestapo-like tactics. Sorry, it's the truth. East German Stasi police-like tactics happening in the United States of America. Now, you know, if you were there on January the 6th, 2021, man, it seems like ages ago, but the left keeps making it seem like it was yesterday, and you did something that was criminal, okay, I got it. But to say if you were just up there anywhere around near the Capitol, federal agents, and you get hauled off to the new Bastille in the United States of America, this prison where seemingly people's rights get violated. No, by the way, this whole thing about obstructing an official proceeding in the Capitol. So, if you show up at a congressional hearing or, you know, being it on the House or the Senate side, supporting an Islamic terrorist organization, and you put this fake blood on your hands and you start screaming in the middle of this congressional hearing and disrupting the hearing to the point where the chairman has to bang the gavel and say, please restore order, and we will cease the hearing until we can restore order and these people can be removed from. Aren't you obstructing an official government procedure? How come they never get a knock on the door in a pre-dawn raid? Or how about if you're Antifa? I mean, you're going around and you're blowing up federal buildings. Don't tell me that didn't happen, okay? Because I will just slay you with a slew of evidence. You're committing crimes, burning police stations, you know, attacking people. No banging on the door of any Antifa leaders or Black Lives Matter, which is a subversive organization founded by Marxists, avowed Marxists. So why is it that only certain people get the federal agents? I mean, Peter Navarro, what's the guy from down in Fort Lauderdale, that old guy? I mean, CNN was there before the agency even showed up. And he gets hauled away because he was an associate to President Trump. Now, let me talk to you about another case that just recently happened that we should be very concerned about. And this is a case from Arkansas involving a gentleman by the name of Brian Malinowski. Brian Malinowski was the executive director of the Bill and Hillary Clinton, you know, there's a Bill, Hillary Clinton, National Airport in Little Rock. But on March the 19th, and now all of a sudden this is becoming news. I mean, this story has been suppressed. I knew about it within 24, 36 hours because I have some friends in Arkansas, namely an astute, dear friend, Jan Morgan, who told me about this. But he was shot on March the 19th in a pre-dawn raid by ATF agents, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives agents, quote unquote, in an attempt to serve a warrant at his home. He was 53 years of age. Now, look, let me be very honest about something. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, normally I get up at 5 to 5:20 to go for a morning run on my designated run day. But it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Federal agents, that's what I hear. I don't know if you're really a federal agent. I don't know if this is just someone faking, being a fraud, but they're banging on my door, dark early in the morning. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to do exactly what Brian Malinowski did, because no one had told him from the ATF, you're under investigation. They could have very easily shown up at his office. He's the executive director of the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock. Why couldn't they go and talk to him there? No. They decide at dark early, they're going to bang on his door. He gets a weapon to defend himself. He goes, he fires at one of these individuals. That agent lived. Brian Malinowski did not live. He was shot in the head. An American citizen shot in the head in a pre-dawn raid who had been charged with nothing. Now, why did they decide that they wanted to come and, go at his home? The Department of Justice confirmed to us last night that the ATF agents involved in the execution of a search warrant of the home of Brian Malinowski. Okay, why were they going for a search warrant? Because, quote unquote, to them, he had sold firearms to individuals that later on ended up in a crime. Well, let me share something with you about the laws in Arkansas about private gun sales. Private sales are legal in Arkansas with a few very minimal stipulations. Arkansas Code 5-73-109, number 1, 5-73-109, no one may transfer a firearm to a minor without the consent of a parent or legal guardian, or who is otherwise known to be prohibited from possessing a firearm by a state or federal law. So, someone if you know, otherwise known to be prohibited from possessing a firearm, or someone that is a minor. A person selling from his private gun collection. A person selling from his private gun collection is not required to check an ID, and no bill of sale required for weapon keeping, record keeping. But yet, they're saying that he had purchased some 150 guns, and he sold guns to individuals that later on were used in crimes. Then just go to the man's office and say, hey, Brian, we'd like to talk to you. Not bang on his door at dark early, pre-dawn raid. I mean, the guy is the executive director of the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock. Why can't you just go and have a conversation with him? Why can't you just go and sit down? Why do you have to? Dark early in the morning. And see, recently, and we covered this about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, the ATF real slick like. They added some additional sentences into the 4473, checks, into the 4473 background checks form. And one of those was, are you purchasing these weapons for the intention of your sole use only? Along those lines. What they're trying to say is that he violated 4473 by not because he checked that he was purchasing weapons only for his sole use. Well, it just said in the Arkansas thing, you could sell weapons out of your collection. Look, I've had weapons that all of a sudden I've given to my pastor. I've given to my pastor's son. I've given to my 2 daughters. I even had a nice weapon that I gave to a fellow veteran who served as a paratrooper. Am I expecting a knock on my door? And let me tell you something, leftists, be very careful. Because you're going to say, hey, Colonel, see, he lied on his 4473 form. He checked that he was not going to, purchase these weapons for, anyone else. Well, maybe he changed his mind and he could do that in Arkansas. He could sell from his collection of guns. But let me tell you something. I know another person that lied on their 4473 background check form. His name, Hunter Biden. He never had a knock on his door. As a matter of fact, he's still walking around free. He didn't get a bullet in the head from a pre-dawn raid. Nothing. No charges pressed whatsoever. But why is it that Brian Malinowski, the executive director of the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock, all of a sudden he's dead? Oh, so what was the search warrant about? They were coming to find evidence. Why can't you just go to him in the middle of the day and say, hey, Brian, we got a warrant to search your house. Go to his office. Can you escort us to your house? But you know what else? What the other big kicker is? Let me tell you what the other big kicker is. They weren't wearing body cameras. Now, this is a violation of their own law. Bud Cummings, the attorney for the Malinowski family, noted that the ATF adopted a policy in 2022 that requires the use of body cameras during the execution of search warrants. This policy provides parameters for the use of BWC's, body-worn cameras, by TFO's, task force officers, to the extent that a state or local law enforcement agency requires their use by its officers during federal task force operations, states a Department of Justice memo dated the 2nd of June, 2022. Cummins said the policy was created in response to the shooting of Breonna Taylor, the Louisville, Kentucky EMT worker who was killed as officers attempted to execute a search warrant. It is astounding for ATF to now claim they simply ignored this clear order. They simply ignored their own policy. So what gives here? Who are these ATF agents who, to me, executed a man? They weren't wearing body cameras. They were coming with a search warrant looking for evidence, which the man was a prominent figure. They could have gone to him and sat down, had a little conversation, showed him a search warrant, and asked him to take him to his house. Why all of a sudden does Brian Malinowski get murdered? And you do not hear anybody screaming and yelling because he's a white man. He's a gun owner. Now, if he had been, we saw what happened with Breonna Taylor. They, tried to burn Louisville down. Oh, but those people, they were okay. They didn't go to jail because obviously their protest was justified. No one's protesting what happened to Brian Malinowski. Let me tell you something. We're crossing the Rubicon. When federal agencies feel that they have the ability to act with impunity, this is why I'm calling these things Gestapo-like tactics, East German Stasi police-like tactics. You have a policy that you're supposed to be following about wearing body cameras, but yet you just completely disregard the policy. We don't know what happened, truthfully. We don't know why they showed up. They say they were there with a search warrant. What was the search warrant about? Collecting evidence? You're collecting evidence for someone you haven't charged? You haven't previously questioned? I mean, give me a break here. Why don't we have FBI agents and others out there finding where illegal immigrants are? We have an agency called ICE. But the Biden administration has told them, you cannot go out and do your duty to go out and find illegal immigrants and deport them. But yet the ATF can show up on this man's doorstep and kill him. It's amazing to me that we are dispatching swarms of officers to harass the people. Roger Stone. See, I was having one of those paratrooper moments. Roger Stone. Remember Roger Stone? How threatening is Roger Stone that you had to have what? Dozens of federal agents show up at his home early in the morning in Fort Lauderdale. Let me tell you something, folks. That's tyranny. And when you put it on top of the fact that we have an administration that does not want us to be able to defend ourselves, that's the reason why on April the 19th, the British were marching inland toward Concord, Massachusetts, to destroy a weapons and armaments factory. They wanted subjects. They wanted people they could control. They wanted power and dominion to rule. This whole thing that we see happening across the United States of America, this abject harassment and tyranny of people that disagree with the leftist ideological agenda, this is dangerous. I would have never thought I'd see this happening in my life. But this is who they really are. I mean, and we can go back to the 2008 election of Barack Hussein Obama. Remember those guys, the new Black Panthers, who were standing out there in the camouflage black uniforms with their black berets with little billy sticks outside a voting location in Philadelphia? Never had a knock on their door. They weren't even prosecuted. This is very disconcerting. That here in America, we're allowing innocent people to be harassed. Show me where an Antifa leader has ever gotten a knock on the door. Show me where any of these people who have taken to the streets cheering for and protesting for a pro-Hamas, an Islamic terrorist organization, have they gotten a knock on the door? The folks in Dearborn, Michigan, who were at that rally where they were chanting death to America, death to Israel, have they gotten a knock on the door? I'm telling you something to the folks in the Biden administration. You've crossed the line. Now it's up to us, the American people. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. We can't allow this to happen. We can't say, oh, it's bad when it's certain people it happens to that we want to exploit for political gain, but if you disagree with us, we're coming after you. This can't happen in these United States of America. Because if we allow this to happen, government censorship, if we allow this to happen, pre-dawn raids of Americans who just have a different philosophy of governance or perspective or ideological beliefs, this is going to tear us apart. This puts us on the road to perdition. And that's where we're headed. That's what we're walking on. So I want you to think about it. Do you want to see an administration reelected that dispatches swarms of officers to harass us, citizens in the United States of America. That's how we got on the road to creating these United States of America. And I think it's high time that we had a real look at some of these agencies that are in the federal government and say, why do they have this power? Why is the IRS given $80 billion for 87,000 new agents? And oh, by the way, they're going to get firearms training. I mean, I can understand the U.S. Marshals. I can understand the Secret Service. But all these other agencies, they're created to extend government power and dominance and control over the people. I think we really need to look at their task and purpose, some of the things they've recently done, like the several rules that the ATF has put into play. ATF, let me tell you something. Director of the ATF, Alcohol, Tobaccos, and Firearms, you don't rule over me. I don't give a damn what you write on a piece of paper. If it's not something that's passed through the legislative process, it doesn't apply to me. This is a constitutional republic. It's not a tyrannical constitutional monarchy. And if you remember, on the day that our Constitution was signed, September the 17th, 1787, Mrs. Powell asked Benjamin Franklin that very pertinent question. Do we have a republic or a monarchy? He replied, a republic, not a democracy. A republic if you can keep it. The people that will keep this constitutional republic, the people that will keep this country free, the people that will make sure there are no more pre-dawn raids, are the people that are steadfast and loyal.
Before they burn it down.